Well, there's more bad news for Harry and Meghan today. Their £18 million deal with Spotify has been binned. After just 12 episodes, Meghan hosted one series where she interviewed celebrities about the history of stereotypes aimed at women, allegedly. She said at the time that she loved doing the podcast, but her hopes of doing more are now over. I'm joined by the culture and brand expert, Nick Eady. Nick, thank you very much for joining me. Now, also, Nick, I understand that you have a bit of a history with Meghan Markle, is that right?
Yes, we had a good friendship. I was the person who actually brought her over to the UK, so maybe it's all my fault.
Yeah.
But you know, she's a very engaging woman with a lot of ambition.
OK, all right. So, I mean, are you still friends?
No, we're not friends. I'm one of the many that were ghosted.
OK, all right. Well, we might return to that slightly if you're comfortable talking about it, but let's just deal with the actual story at hand first before we get involved with the personal stuff. So, Archetypes is no more. She did, of course, treat us to such pearls of wisdom. I'm sure you'll have some, but there was, you know, numerous ones with Serena Williams, wasn't there? There was one with Mariah Carey, where Mariah Carey called her a diva, which Meghan felt the need to then issue some kind of weird statement saying, "Oh, I'm not a diva," like a diva would do. Bad news for the couple.
Yes, it is bad news for them. I think for her especially, you know, she was somebody who was extremely passionate about doing this podcast. But, you know, what she did, unfortunately, was make it a very, very elitist, and so probably alienated a lot of her fans. And I think that's one of the big reasons why Spotify had probably thought about dropping her. Also, they wasn't particularly rating particularly well. And the other thing, too, is that her popularity since Harry has talked so openly about his family, has really, really diminished.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, is this the classic example of burning all of your bridges to make a quick buck and then realising that, frankly, you're not really worth the hype? And now what do you do?
Well, yeah, this is a problem and it's actually set up a massive precedent here, because the fact of the matter is that, you know, people are expecting them to be the golden couple and Meghan to be this golden person who will make money for brands. That's the only reason that they are throwing these millions at them, is because they want to make money in return. And what they've realised now is actually the value is not there.
No, indeed. And can you just talk to me a little bit more about the numbers behind this then? So it was supposedly an 18 million quid deal for 2 series. We're only being treated to one of them now. And so they presumably will have only been paid for the work that's been done. And what could this mean going forward? Because when it comes to brands, once one brand pulls out, others may be joined, don't they?
Well, yeah, this is the biggest problem, you know, from a financial point of view. You know, 18 million is a lot of money. And so when a brand has suddenly decided not to further the contract, then there's a huge issue there. And other brands are going to be really alarmed by this, because Spotify is a massive player. They've said that they're finding it hard to find revenue from advertising, etc. And so if they think that this sort of golden goose that, you know, Meghan Markle was really purporting herself to be, and when she left the royal family, that's why people were throwing so much money at her. Now, for people to say, actually, no, we want a refund, that is going to send out to all the different brands a huge message of actually no confidence.
But isn't it just because she didn't really have much of value to say? I could understand it if she was going to come out and say some absolute pearls of wisdom that proved her to be an academic genius who'd managed to enter some kind of higher echelon of human intellect and understanding and knowledge, like a Buddha. But instead, we just got her talking about how she was only seen as a black woman when she met Harry, and that she only realised that ambition could also be bad when she met Harry. I mean, there's a theme there to begin with. But was the fundamental bit of this was that the product itself wasn't very good?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. The product wasn't amazing. And that's actually what the issue is here, is that Meghan Markle, whatever we think of her, she was a B-list actress. You know, she wasn't a Hollywood A-lister. She's never been a Hollywood A-lister in that respect. And why would I want to listen to something that she says when she hasn't really got the credentials behind her? She's not inspiring like Oprah Winfrey. She's not got those credentials of working, you know, day in, day out to get to where she is. She doesn't have them. So I'm bored and I don't want to buy into it.
Yeah, and it is kind of the fakery of it all. When she was interviewing Serena Williams. I mean, that is a woman who has worked with blood, sweat and tears to achieve the pinnacle of sporting excellence for however many decades she's been basically at the top of the game. Someone who's really worked for that fame, for that money, for that success, who has something of value, actually, I would suggest, to learn from when it comes to that. Whereas, I mean, Meghan Markle was in suits for a bit, married a prince, and then swanned off to America, didn't she? I mean, what are we learning from that?
Well, we're not learning anything. We're learning that if you marry a prince, maybe you can command millions from Spotify, but that's not going to last forever. And I think that's the only issue. I think the problem is, and it is, as you just said, someone like Serena Williams has spent all their lives carving a fantastic career, being the top of their game. Meghan Markle has married into it and got this massive profile by, proxy.
So, in a nutshell, we're thinking that other brands may well follow suit. It does come as well after a string of pretty heavy losses. I mean, there was that non-high-speed car chase around New York, and there was the South Park episode, there was the reaction to Spare, there's just the general toxicity surrounding them. I mean, it is fascinating for me that they've kind of cancelled themselves. But, Nick, if you wouldn't mind, would you mind just... You have a much better insight into the mind and the inner workings of Meghan Markle than I could ever want to have, frankly. But what was it like for you? So you kind of brought her to the UK. I won't use the word inflicted, but you brought her to the UK, and then she canned you.
Well, in a nutshell, we were friends for quite a while. I found her, and I do think that she is very philanthropic. She really wants to change the world and use her platform for positivity, which. You can't criticise somebody for that. I think, though, that from a day one, I understood there's a lot of ambition there, and when somebody needs you, they'll use you. When they don't need you, they'll just discard you. As many people have felt that as she's gone up and up and up.
Well, I will never discard you, Nick. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, and I would love to continue them at length going forward. So, Nick, thank you very much. Nick Eady there, who is, of course, the culture and brand expert guru, and we'll leave out the bit about him bringing Meghan Markle over and this whole mess being his fault. Not really, Nick, not really, but there we go.